Hey guys, Professor Bell, Comic Book University. An Invisible Kingdom, issue number 1. This is out of Bergen Books, which is basically just a deeper imprint of Dark Horse Comics. So let's get into this. This was a pretty fun book, all right? The people involved were G. Willow Wilson on writing, Christian Ward doing art, and Sal Cipriano does the letters. So let's see here. This book brought up a lot of thoughts. Really quick, there's two main characters here. There's Grix, who is the space pilot. They're basically these four planets that are close enough to each other that they can travel to each other, but there is no faster than light speed in this particular world right now, in this universe that we're in. So these are close enough planets that they can ship to and all that good stuff. And richest company that there is, apparently, like one of the biggest mega corporations that there is the shipping company that owns them. And 2 cycles ago, they were supposed to replace the coolant system. Well, they chose not to, I guess, maximizing profits, whatever. And yeah, the cooling system blows. So Grix is forced to crash land the ship. Of the cargo that she's able to save is this one empty box. Upon further inquiry into this empty box, she comes to realize that there's a scandal going on. She doesn't know how many times this has happened, but this mega corporation is actually funneling money to somebody else, and this company can get in a lot of trouble. PR, of course, but also by the law, which is worse. I don't know. You can get a lawyer to get you out of legalized trouble, but when your public can't trust you anymore, opens the doors for competition, and that's the worst thing that a capitalist ever wants to hear. So, what have you here? It seems as though this is such a dangerous thing that they could possibly be killed by the mega corporation that employs them. That's not implicitly said, but, well, it's not explicitly said, I should say, but it does feel, to me at least, implicit. Now, on the other end of the spectrum is this girl, Vess, and she is from there's 4 different genders for her race, and she seems to be the rarest of them. And this is someone who could potentially help to propagate her people, to help her people to advance as a species, to continue as a race, whatever. But she seems to be she's becoming a part of this religion that seems to me to be celibate. That's interesting. And that's cool because it elicits the philosophical idea that filial piety is nonsense to this particular. It's out of the Greek that you don't owe nothing. That you owe nothing. You don't owe anything to your ancestors, to those who preceded you. So that just takes filial piety right out of the equation, right? And I can argue for both sides. It is what it is, man. But yeah, there's that. So she's going to join, and there's a lot of people who don't like that religion. There's a lot of people who don't like her race. Even when she finally joins the religion, and while at the same time, there's some people who will help. People who are family members inside the same house. There'll be people who are good to you and people who are exceedingly cruel to you. So she goes and joins this religion, and even within the religion, while there are some good people, good mentors, there's also people who will tell you, get out. You don't belong here. Saying you're the wrong race, you're the wrong species, you're the wrong whatever. And it's vile, man. It's definitely vile, but this stuff all exists. So, yeah, this gets me thinking a lot, dude. This comic book gets me thinking a whole lot. All right, there are, not just in the monotheistic religions, but in the polytheistic also, there are certain aspects that condemn homosexuality, and of course transgender and things like all of these different mentalities. Basically, they're very scripturally against the LGBTQ community, any person who belongs to the LGBTQ community. While there could still be people within the religion, and there are, who, and this goes for Judaism, Christianity, Islam, all of them, There's the book of Leviticus, which says, directly, these people are an abomination, and they should not be allowed. They should be stoned. While the very following chapter also talks about shellfish, how shellfish shouldn't be eaten, and these people are an abomination. So yeah, there's the hypocritical and the non-hypocritical aspects there. Jews believe both to be just as bad. Christians only follow one for the most part. The vast majority only follow the anti-LGBTQ idea, but they're okay with eating lobster and shrimp. You know what I'm saying? So like there's that. Again, if you're offended by this, okay, please explain to me why I did something so bad by reading scripture. All right, because just whatever, man. Again, there are good people, you know what I'm saying, who don't follow, but unfortunately, the best of those people don't follow those kinds of scriptures. But that exists in Islam also. Make no mistake. This is a hard word to translate, and I've seen it translated in 3 different ways. The most abhorrent, or the most wretched, or the most disgusting of the sins is homosexuality, according to the scriptures of Islam, according to the Quran. What do you call it? So it's not the worst sin, but it's the most disgusting of the sins, according to the Quran. Again, if you're offended, please set me right. Set me right. Meanwhile, there's still people of the faiths, all 3 of those faiths, who are very cool with gay people, with transgender people, with, whomever. But they are absolutely doing it against scriptural context of their religion. So there's that. And you can use other parts of the scripture to rectify. But when you have something that very specifically says, this is bad, and you use something general to say, but it's okay, understand what you're doing. You are having a contradiction of your faith. So I'm always curious to see how people rectify things like that. It's one of the reasons that got me out of faith as a whole, was that I couldn't keep on rectifying one without the other. I couldn't. But this also deals with racism, also, this book. Again, there are people within here, they're all of the monotheistic religions, and we can also talk about the polytheistic religions too, Hinduism, Buddhism, all that stuff, where it's supposed to be okay. You're not supposed to be racist. There are things that state plainly, don't be racist. But there's also people who turn around and they will use the scripture and say, oh, no, we are allowed to be racist. See? An Arab is not supposed to own an Arab, but you can own any other kind of person if you want. You know what I'm saying? Oh, Shem and Japheth were good, but Ham, his 4th grandson, man, it's not me, it's the book. It's not me, it's in the book. You can always go that way. You can always go either of those ways. But yeah, there's that. Should you be racist? Should you not be racist? Okay, cool, man. But you're going to find that outside of the religion, and you're going to find that within the religion also. If you don't believe me, try being one of the, more specifically, Jewish or Muslim, the Semitic religions. Try and, be a convert or a revert to one of those religions and ask to marry one of their daughters. But you can also do that with Hinduism too, make no mistake. Christianity is usually a little more open. Actually, it's usually a lot more open than that. Good, bad, whatever. But try marrying somebody's daughter. Ask about that. As a guy, I have that experience. I don't know what it's like to be a woman in that regard, but a lot of times you're told, maybe you should try and find, another convert. Maybe you should go and try and convert someone, and, that'd be better for you culturally, because, it's a system shock, yeah. There's always something, bro. There's always something. So, I'm cool with anybody having faith. Cool with that. But I am always curious, and I won't usually ask, and I'm not asking anybody. But I hope that I hope that everybody can be introspective. How do you rectify specific scripture by using general scripture. All of these things, all of these thoughts were elicited by reading this book. And I cannot help but to solicit and condone and propagate any book, written or, comic version, which is written and drawn, that allows you to think inside the box, outside the box, all about the box, ignoring the box. And that's exactly what this book does. I don't know G. Willow Wilson. I could bump into her on the streets and probably I wouldn't recognize her. But, I think I follow her on Twitter, I think. But, I probably wouldn't recognize her face, like I said, if I bumped into her, But I do feel that I know a little bit more about her by reading this. It's especially interesting that we get a very personal conversation from Magdalene Visaggio in the back of this book. You read, it's like she is so open with what she talks about. Wow, especially knowing how much crap she gets from horrible, wretched, disgusting, the refuse of the human race. Yeah, wow. Like, there's some terrible freaking people out there. And they'll say whatever they want to say. They'll make whatever excuses they need to make. Oh, well, she threatens violence. Bro, if I got, and I'm former military. I got 6 years as U.S. Army infantryman. And I'll tell you straight right now, if I got half of the crap to my face as she gets, I would absolutely punch somebody in the face. I would punch you in the throat. You can say, Professor Bill is propagating violence. You goddamn right I am. I would knock anybody out. I would knock anybody on their ass saying half the things to me that they say to her. And you can say whatever you want. I don't think she's responded that negatively. Yeah, there's been some negative responses, but it's a response. That's what it is. It's a response. These same people will be okay with somebody, this kid cracked an egg over this person's head, and the other person turned around and punched him in the face, and then kept punching this kid, a kid, in the face. Well, that's perfectly acceptable. Mags Visaggio gets death threats and the worst kind of things imaginable, and she says, sometimes I feel like taking a bat to somebody's kneecaps, or whatever she says. Did she ever say anybody's specific name? No. So we justify what we need to justify to continue justifying our own ridiculously hypocritical existences. Magdalene Visaggio is one of the strongest people that I don't personally know, but that I know of. She is, I'm going to say it right now, she's pretty much strength personified. You know what I'm saying? I wish that I had some of the willpower that she has. So it's funny that this book is mentioned, or that she is has an interview in this. It's not even an interview. Just she relates some of her own personal life about her book Calamity Jane, which I reviewed. And I wish I would have read this before I read that, but that came out last week, so it is what it is. But it's just interesting that she's featured in this book, in the back of the book like this, for this particular book. A lot to think about, man. Food for thought. Food for thought. Yeah. I can't help. Any book that gets you thinking, like this book will get you thinking. Excuse me. I'm glad I read this, man. I've only read the first two, they say volumes, they're not volumes. The first two arcs, the first two trade paperbacks that G. Willow Wilson put out. You know what I'm saying? And I'm only now reading Saladin Ahmed's stuff. Marvelous Miss Marvel, and I'm reading Wonder Woman, the current run of Wonder Woman by G. Willow Wilson. So I don't know a lot about her, and her writing style. I only know but so much. But this is the best thing I've read from her. I don't even know what else she's got out there. But this right here, oh, she can write. She can write her ass off, man. So yeah, I can't help but to push this book and hope that more people get this book and actually be introspective. Actually, just even if you can't put a personal, twist on it, personal understanding of this book. At least just think in general when you're reading the book, because there is a lot here, a whole lot. Dare I say, plethora. Anyway, guys, get the book. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.